Hi guys, it's Judith with Chippy Vintage. It's finally a beautiful day out here after about 2 months of rain here in Georgia and a sunny day here and there. We finally have a couple of days of nice weather. It's 81 degrees today. We were in a jacket and long pants 2 days ago, so you never really know. So I thought it's a nice day opening the garage door because I'm in the garage. This is where my work spot is. And I thought we were gonna paint some pots. So I got a bunch of these at the Home Depot. And so I want to paint them and I want to make them look a little bit more special and a little prettier. So we're going to do that. And in order to do that, we're going to start with WoodUBend molds. Now I've already put a few on here. Now these are WoodUBend molds. And I just want to show you something about these because they're really cool. They come from the UK. And this is what they look like. And they are made out of compressed sawdust. So they break easily, but you put them together real easily too with nothing but a blow dryer and wood glue. So the cool thing about this is that you see all the wood glue around it, but don't worry about that. The cool thing about these is that you can warm them up with a blow dryer and then you put some wood glue on it and they become completely bendable. That makes them also easy to put back together when they break. So it's really fun to do. And with that, I'm going to put another one here so you can actually see how I do that. So this is the one I'm going to put on, and I want to put it on the top here so it kind of has to fold around the edge here. So I'm going to show you how that works. So what I do is I take my blow dryer and I just warm it up. You don't necessarily have to use a blow dryer for that. You can use a heat gun too. That's fine. Where's my little... Okay, so I have a little artisan brush here. I put a little dollop of wood glue on here. And then I just go with my brush. I just go all around, make sure all the edges are covered. Make sure that the wood glue is everywhere. I used a little too much because I'm going to take that off. And if wood glue comes seeping out after that, don't worry about it because we're going to paint it. You're not even going to see it. You're not even going to know. So this one, I want on top here, on top of the big one. So I'm going to push this here and then you see the edge, right? It's against the edge now. So I'm just going to push it in and fold it around the edge. And just hold it there for a minute. Just have to push a little harder. And then you put a blow dryer on it. You really have to push it in and really fold it around. See, like this. You really have to push it in. There it is. Just making sure everything is done. Woo! It's warm here, you guys. It's 81 degrees. And then you warm it up a little bit. And with that, you just make sure that everything bonds to the stone, to the clay. And so I did all of these the exact same way, like they're solid, they're on there. And the cool thing about these WoodUBend molds is you can paint them, you can sand them, you can paint over them again and again, you can put texture on them, you can do so many things with these. See? And you can see it goes past this curve, so I've pushed it in completely. So I think this is nice. What do you guys think? So those are really simple WoodUBend molds. They come in little packages. I'll have a few on the website for sale. Not too much though, because I use it a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this clay pot. I want to give it like a stone finish. I like a stone finish. So I am going to work with a chip brush that you need. And I'm gonna make texture with something called sea spray. So what you do is always make sure you shake your paint before you open it up. This is Dixie Belle paint. This is sandbar. This is chalk mineral paint. And what I do, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stir it up for a minute because it's a little thick. So what I'm actually gonna do is, let me see, maybe add some water in it because it's a little, you can do that with chalk paint. So that's the cool thing about chalk paint. You just put some water in it. If it's too thick, you just put some water in it. Not too much, just a little bit, just to make it a little softer. And this is mainly because I'm a slob and I usually leave my lids off the jars, and I shouldn't be doing that, but I do. I know, it's horrible. There we go. So what we're gonna do is this spray, this is called sea spray, and what that does, it adds texture to your paint. So if you like an old world look that kind of looks like a chippy and like it's layer upon layer, that's when you add the sea spray to your paint. So we have some paint now that is thin enough, so I'm going to pour some in here. Okay. And let's just, for today, actually put the lid back on so it doesn't dry out. Okay, and then we're going to add some sea spray. And so what you want is you don't want to make it too thick, but you want it to have like a batter like consistency, look like when you make pancakes or something. So I do half a scoop of this. It comes with the scoop, and I just start mixing it in. And the good thing is you can always add paint or add more sea spray, so just go slow on this. And what I actually do, I'm not supposed to, but I sometimes just add a little water just to thin the consistency a little bit. See, it's getting very thick. So you can either just add more paint, but since I don't need more paint, I'm just gonna add some water, just a little bit. There you go. Just add some water. Make it a little thinner. So we're starting with sandbar, and then we're going to go over it with another color, and then we're going to put a wash on it. You can do whatever you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want to. That's the cool stuff about Dixie Belle paint. And the great thing is it dries literally within 10 minutes. So if you don't like it, you just paint right over it. You don't have to sand anything. You don't have to do anything. You just go right over it. And so this is not a project where you actually are going to paint like with brush strokes. We're going to stipple this on there. I just need this to get a little thinner. Oh, and just make sure you have an old shirt on because you're going to get dirty. Okay, I think that I have like a batter-like consistency. See that? That's kind of the consistency that I like, so that's what I'm going to go with. And then I just take this off with a brush. And I'm going to stipple this over the whole pot. So I'm going to go over the flowers and everywhere else and in between. And you're just going to push it on. And as you probably, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the texture because of the sea spray, the texture starts forming, and you go onto the flowers. And you just cover everything, and you keep on stipling until you have everything covered. And if you want to get in between all the flowers, I mean, I don't mind if a little bit of the original clay color shines through. But if you want it all covered, you can get a little artisan brush and go in between all the nooks and crannies. And this is just a great project to do now that everybody is home and everybody is social distancing. I find social distancing a weird word. Is that a weird word? I think it's more like physical distancing rather than actually socially distancing. But that's just me. What do I know? So as you can see, you get this beautiful textured color on there, and if you go over there with another color, it's gonna all blend in together. I need to make it a little thinner, you guys. It's a little too thick for me. I like it a little thinner. Again, have an old shirt on because you're gonna get dirty. So the sea spray is what makes it so thick. You get that texture on there, and that's what makes it so thick. So I just like to add some water. Most people just add more paint. You know what? You're wasting a little bit of money like that. So I just like to do it like that. There we go. All right. And you can already see the difference in color. So you can already see that the one on the flower is already drying. Like, it goes so fast. It dries so fast. So you just stipple along, or stipple. It's stipple or stipple. I don't know what people call it. Stippling, stipling. And you just go around the entire pot. And you can do this with any color. Like, I like the sandbar. A lot of people also use the putty with this because they like the putty. I like the sandbar. I saw somebody, I think it was Solly Joe, who was actually the owner of WoodUBend moldings. I think she did it with sage green, I believe. I'm going to use a color called Vintage Duck Egg because that's hands down my favorite color. So we're just going to go around, or stipling around, and you try not to make like brush strokes like this unless that's the texture that you want, but that's not the texture that I'm going for today. I just want that old stone look, and the only way you're going to get that is stippling, stipling, whatever. Or you can actually, instead of with a chip brush, you can use a sponge, but that's a little bit more difficult. So you see it's getting there. And then after this, we're going to take the Vintage Duck Egg and we're going to go over it, but not everywhere, so it all blends in a little bit. And if you want to, you can use a water spray bottle to make it blend a little better, because this is chalk mineral paint, you guys. It's water based, it has no VOCs, it's safe to use indoors because you don't even smell anything. And so you can reactivate it with water because it's water based. So if it's dried and you want to blend it, like by the flowers, see it's almost dry there already, and I want to blend it with the Vintage Duck Egg that I'm going to do in a minute, then you can just spray some water on it. So we're almost done with the sandbar. And I'm just stipling away, and in some places the orange still comes through, and that doesn't matter to me. That also only adds to the texture, that only adds to the stone look that I want to give it, right? So you want to make sure that you get all the edges, like also on top. And the cool thing is that clay grabs everything, so you can just paint on it. You don't even have to clean or sand or do nothing. Okay, y'all, we are done with the sandbar. So I'm going to put this aside. This is Vintage Duck Egg. It's like a blue-green, cool color that I'm gonna mix in here with some sea spray, because again, I want that texture on there. And then later, we're gonna put a wash over this. So I'm gonna put like about this much in it. And I'm just gonna take the stick that I used for the sandbar. And I'm already gonna add a little water to it because I want this a little bit thinner than the sandbar. And then after this, we're gonna do a fluff wash over it. That'll be fun. Because a wash is not really painting. It's like you're washing and then you're dabbing it off. Okay. Vintage Duck Egg, y'all. Look at that. It's a nice color, right? So probably after I'm done with the Vintage Duck Egg, I'm probably going to go back with sandbar. So I want to start here by the flowers and just kind of go around and go over and see, I'm just going over everything, letting it blend. If I want a little bit more blend, I just take the water bottle and I just spray it, and then you can blend the colors a little more. And you can take a small artisan brush and go in all the nooks and crannies. And as you can see, I'm not covering everything. I'm just, see, there are some places where I don't put it. I just stipple it around and go around like I did with the sandbar. And there is a hair that we don't want on there. And then I'm going to take a bigger brush, a little bit more. And I'm actually gonna come back with a little bit of the sandbar and blend it in with this. So I'm kind of blending it in with the Vintage Duck Egg, and what you get then is like that stone look. You see that? So I'm just blending with both colors now. I'm gonna go in with a, hang on a second. I have a bigger brush here, just for the simple reason that it goes a lot faster. And you just do what you did with the other one. You just staple it on it wherever you want it. So it makes sure that a little bit of the sandbar still comes through. And then if you want to, since we still have the sandbar here, you can just go over it with the sandbar and just blend all this together. There's a spider. I don't need you here. Go away. See, so now I have done this part. So now I'm going back in with a little bit of sandbar and just blend it in a little bit with everything that's happening in here. Just blend it a little bit, and this is just a matter of you just keep on stipling and you keep on blending, and eventually you get this cool stone look. Don't know if you can see it, but that's kind of what it's gonna look like. See? Here. Starts blending nicely. So it's just a matter of up and down and in and out with your brushes, just to get the texture that you like. So now we're going here because we haven't been here yet. Make sure you don't forget about the top. And if you want to fast forward for a minute until I'm done, you can do that. So you can see the end results. And then after this, we're going to put a white wash over it. And that's gonna make it really, give it that nice and stone look. And I think it's always really cool, you know, these clay pots are pretty boring. And I always want something a little extra, a little special in my yard. And I like having pots in my yard. You can do this with any of the Dixie Belle colors you want. If you are in Florida and you are more into the Florida orange kind of colors, I have a friend named Pam McCain, I'm looking at you, then you definitely can do this with orange, and I would put maybe a nice gray with that or something. You can do it in any color you want to. So I'm just going to work here for a second and blend this really well. And I always try when I'm blending, I'm always taking the excess off the brush, because otherwise you're just like painting over each other and you're not really blending. But you want to blend it in a way, I mean, some people like super blended where you really can see it. I'm not one of those, but usually it looks very different once it's dried up. Here we go. We're already at the end again. Let's get this going, shall we? Woo! Always have a towel down there, because let me tell you, you're gonna make a mess. And also, this is an excellent arm workout. Well, let me tell you. So we close this up now. And then I'm going in here with a little bit more of the sandbar. And when it's wet, it blends real super easy. So I just keep on blending until I'm happy. And in my case, that can be a while. Because I am one of those painters, like I'm a very messy painter. And I'm always thinking, nah, I can add a little bit more here. And then it's dry and I'm ready to refinish it. And then I'm like, nah, it can add a little bit more there. And before you know it, I am repainting an entire furniture piece like 5 times before I'm finally happy with it, or until somebody says it's sold, I want it the way it is, because that happens too. But I am one of those, I always keep changing things up, and I never really think it's good enough, and so I'm always painting and painting and driving everybody crazy with that. So you see, I'm adding a little bit more of that. And I'm going to go over it with this, so you just blend it in with what you already have. You just blend the 2 colors together so it gets that nice stone look. And you can do it however you want to. You can blend with 2, 3, 4, 5 colors if you want to. You can blend with 2 colors. You can blend with 20 colors. Like, you can make it as crazy as you want to. That's the cool thing about this. You can just put layer over layer, over layer, over layer, which is usually what I do. All right, I think we're done. So if you want to dry this real quick, you just grab your blow dryer or your heating gun. dries super fast. But as you can see, you have that, see, that old world look. So what we're gonna do next, I need some paper for this. Let me get the paper towels out. What we're gonna do next is make a whitewash that's gonna go over this. So for that, we use Dixie Belle cotton and water. Again, make sure you shake this. Oh, and a sponge. So I'm just gonna make this, like, I'm putting a little bit of this in here, just a little bit. That's all we need. And then water, because that's how you make a wash. Let me grab something. Oh, I can stir it with this. That's how you make a wash. So it's super, see, it's not nearly, it's super thin, because you don't want to paint it right now. You just want to wash it, so it gets like almost like a white glaze around it. And we're going to do this with a sponge, and we're going to wash over everything we just painted, and then we're going to dab it off with the towel. Right? Y'all ready? So I mixed the Dixie Belle cotton chalk mineral paint with, I'm just gonna cut this thing in half because it's too big, with water. That's how you really easily make a wash. I need some sharper scissors. Okay, so I'm gonna take half of a sponge, because you really don't need a whole one. And then we're gonna dab, oh, let me get that off. We're gonna dab the sponge in there. Yeah, and then we're gonna put it all over the flowers and just dab it all over. Yes, you see that? You're like, ah, man, you're ruining your paint. No, we're not ruining the paint. We're doing good stuff. And then you grab one of your towels and you just dab it off like this. So you get that nice stony texture. You just dab it off where you want to dab it off. You just spread it out a little bit. Look at that. You get that super nice stone texture. Isn't that cool? It's cool. All right, let's do that. Get off my leg. Full of bugs here. I'm gonna do that here. Just put it on there. Yeah. Grab a pad and just dab it. That's all you have to do. Dab it. Don't rub it. If you want that stony texture, you want to dab it, not rub it. So if it starts running, you just pick that up with your towel. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It's cool. So, and you can do this as thick or as thin as you want to. If you want more white, put more fluff in it and less water. If you want less white, put less on it or put it in less places. So you can make it as crazy as you want to. That's the cool part about it. I'm gonna grab a clean towel. These are shop towels, you guys, Costco. Okay. I want a little more over the flowers. I want a little bit more into the flowers. There we go. Like dab into those flowers so it goes all in the nooks and crannies and creases. See? Go and you just dab it off. And so what I usually do after this, I go back over the flowers with an artisan brush and add a little bit more white in the nooks and the crannies. So you see spots where there's no white, so you just put some on and you just keep dabbing and you want to make sure it's dry so you don't get any runners, unless you like runners, but I don't necessarily on this project like runners, so I just like the stone look. So these runners that are coming down here, see that dripping? I just dab those up. And so if you feel that it looks good, you can either let it dry or you put the blow dryer on it. But I'm gonna go in with a little brush. So let me finish this real quick so I can make sure that everything is the way I want it. Maybe a little bit more wash on the edges here. Let me get another clean towel. And so this is so much fun, y'all, because we're like, we're 31 minutes. And in 31 minutes, you have a clay pot that came from the Home Depot that now looks completely different. And I mean completely different. With an old stone texture, like it's been out in the elements for God knows how long. Okay, so I just want to show you in half an hour what we did. Look, how cool is that? Yeah, you see the old stony look over there? So now I'm going to go in with a small brush with the wash, and there are just some corners behind the molds that did not really get the white. So I'm just going to put that in there. And then in nooks and crannies where I think there should be a little more white, I'm going to put a little bit more white. And it's not a whole lot, but it's just to give the florals that are on there, just to give them a little bit more definition. And what you also can do is actually, if you have colored waxes, like gilding waxes, which I have here, I will show you in a minute, you can actually make these colors in all sorts of, these flowers in all sorts of colors, whatever gilding wax you have. I have like 20 different colors of gilding wax here, and so it's because the WoodUBend molds have all these nooks and crannies. I just go in and I just fill them in with a little artisan brush, and then I'm going to come back with a towel. And I just want all these nooks and crannies to be beautiful and white. So I do actually let it run here a little bit. I'm actually putting it on its side so I can really get in there, because I do let it run a little bit. So it runs in all the nooks and crannies. And you can really give the flowers definition this way. And I just grab my towel and I just go over it. I don't know what kind of creature is under my table, but it needs to go. And you just make sure that there are no drippers if you don't like that. You guys, look. How cool is that, right? So you have this really super cool texture with these super cool flowers, and just in half an hour you just made this. So I'm just going to dry it for a minute just to show you. just like that, you have a super cool stone washed flower pot. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you're gonna do this, please come to my page, which is on Facebook. It's Chippy Vintage, Chippy with IE, Chippy Vintage. Come find me and send me a picture. If you like free tutorials, I have a lot of them in my blog post. Go to chippyvintage.com. That's with IE, chippyvintage.com. And you will also find the online store there where you can find all the supplies that I used today. What do you think? Good or no? I think we did pretty good for half an hour. All right, you guys, see you next time. Please don't forget to subscribe below to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you later. Bye.